Hey there, my friend. It's time for our weekly wisdom card draw. This is your time to pause in the rush of what is probably an otherwise busy day, to connect with yourself, to reflect on where you are, and to commit or recommit to shining your light in the world. I'm going to draw a card from the deck, which is in PowerPoint right now, but which will be a card deck later in the year. And before we get started, I would like to invite you to come into the here and now and to let yourself slow down, pause, and arrive in this moment. So maybe the way you do that is by taking a breath, letting it out. You can close your eyes if that feels good. Maybe you want to place a hand on your heart, connecting with your body, connecting with the breath, noticing the breath coming in, noticing it going out. You can also keep your eyes open and just connect with your immediate environment. What's directly around you? Are there books on the shelves? Is there a window where you can look and see outside? Maybe you are outside. Just looking around at what's around you. And if you are particularly somewhere you are often, noticing what's around you as if you're noticing it for the first time. So just again, allowing yourself to be in this moment, which is not a repeat of any moment that has ever come before and is not a preview of any moment that will come after. This moment is unique and you get to experience it when you allow yourself to notice it. So go ahead and keep breathing, keep being, whatever it is you're doing, keep observing. And as you do that, I'm going to bring the cards up to my heart and ask the universe to be guided to the message that will be of highest service and inspiration to you today. What message do you most need to hear? What message will most inspire you to take a small step or a giant leap into greater alignment with who you really are? And putting that intention out there, I'm going to shuffle the cards and see what our message is. Go ahead and keep breathing, keep noticing, keep being. And our message is reframe. All right. I think we had an Athens one. Yeah, stillness. Last week was also Athens. This is from Athens, from the Acropolis, not the Parthenon, but part of the Acropolis. And the message is reframe. So it's kind of, we're framing the sky here in this picture. Are you feeling stuck in well-worn stories that aren't serving you? If you have a story about a particular life situation, or a story about who you are, that's feeling a bit old or even ancient, perhaps it's time to reframe it. What has this situation given you? What's a powerful new way to look at your story? What are 3 other ways to look at it? What deeper meaning can you discover? Let that liberate you. Stone temples from ancient civilizations inspire us to reflect on our past, present, and future. Are these walls and columns crumbling? Or are they letting in the light and framing the expansive sky? It's in the eye of the beholder. We all have the power to choose and change the stories we tell and the meanings we ascribe to our lives. What story do you need to reframe? Let that sink in for a moment. All right, so this idea of reframing, I love that question. What's another way to look at this? Or what are 3 other ways to look at this? That's a question I ask a lot. And the idea is one of the liberating things about it is you don't actually have to believe the other story. You don't have to believe this new version of the story that you might tell. But if you can at least come up with an alternate version, if you can come up with another thing that might be going on or another way to look at something, it can just create a little bit of space for a new insight or a new awareness to come in. So again, you don't have to start off believing it. Sometimes, especially if we are telling stories about another person or how we're showing up in a relationship or something, and we've been telling this story for a really long time, there might be no possible way that we're going to believe anything, again, contrary to the story we've been telling ourselves for our whole lives. And there's always another perspective. And just naming one can create some of that space. And the bigger picture of reframing, well, that's kind of a big picture anyway, but the story that I want to share with you is one that I do share a lot, about the fact that I wanted to be an astronaut for 20 years. And this is a big story that I have reframed over the years. And I'm super excited because actually quite soon I am going to be opening doors to my group program, Giant Leap, which is basically helping rockstar women own their awesomeness and remember who they are and why they're here. And for me, one of the core experiences that helped me really remember who I am and why I'm here came in the form of a really traumatic experience, or an earth-shattering experience of having spent my entire life, wanting to be an astronaut, working hard to get to where I could apply to be an astronaut, and then getting rejected for my pre-LASIK eyesight. So again, thought my whole life that I was going to be an astronaut, didn't happen, and I had no backup plan. So I had this story that it was the end of the world, really. And I realized it's the first world problem, but it was the end of my world at the time. And I didn't know who I would be or what I would do without that dream. And I really needed a reframe. And I'll be honest, it took me a really long time to get there. But I did get there. And where I am now is in such a place of gratitude for being rejected from the astronaut program. But one of the biggest reframes about it has been discovering where that dream actually came from and what I really wanted with it, which is something that I actually call the goal behind the goal. So if you are really dreaming of something, really wanting something, ask yourself, what's important to you about that? And then what's important to you about that? And get to the heart of what it is that you are actually desiring. And what I have realized, to make a very long story kind of short, is that my wanting to be an astronaut came from an intuitive knowing of my spiritual connection with the universe, and from a desire to inspire people to greatness the way astronauts had always inspired me. And one of the aspects I've more recently realized is that it also came from the vision of a unified and harmonious world. All the astronauts I ever heard talked about when they would go up into space, you look down on the Earth and you can't see any borders. How amazing would it be if we didn't actually have borders? So all of these things I get to work towards and make an impact in every single day. And I don't have to be an astronaut for that. So I am living my dream every single day. Talk about a reframe, right? So when you think about what's going on in your life, where is there a place where you could say, what are 3 other ways to look at this? Let me create a little bit of space here. What higher meaning, higher potential could this maybe potentially challenging situation be calling me into? So I invite you to sit with that and reflect on that this week. Here's our picture again. Reframe. Are we framing the sky or are we crumbling? You get to decide. All right, my friend, have an amazing week. Reframe as many things as possible. Just practice. Again, you don't have to believe it. Just come up with an alternate possibility and see what kind of space and energy that might create for you. I am excited to see you next week. Enjoy your reframing. Take care, my friend.